guys, to another episode of Nerds4Life SuperCoach. I'm your host, Peter, and I just want to apologise for last week. I'm going to be honest, I just simply ran out of time. I just did not have the time last week to really produce a weekly preview episode. I still managed to smash out a captains and vice captains video, but unable to do the weekly podcast. So sorry about that, but I am back. I will, before I go through the weekly winners from the last 2 weeks, I will give a shout out to both of them. I just want to remind you guys to please follow me on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I'm on all those. Spotify as well. If you're listening to this on Spotify, it will allow you to stay up to date with not only just my content and my ramblings, but a lot of SuperCoach news over the course of the week. You know, injuries, late outs, all that sort of thing. You know, the things that you're going to want to know in order to make sure that you have the best team available. So let's get into it. We've got a big week coming up. As I said, I'll announce the group winners. My personal round, I'll talk a little bit about how my team went. We already have some injury and suspension news. We've got rookies that we're looking to bring in. We've got some primos as well. And I'll talk about my trades and VC and C options at the end of the episode as well. So, round 11. Zulu Warriors scored a whopping 2,454, and his name was Zahum. Congratulations. In round 12, it was I'm going to butcher this name, Zalopsia. 2,200 by Billy. Two very formidable scores, and they were the last two group winners, so congratulations to both of you guys. Now, you can still join that open group. I believe you can. I've never tried joining a group so mid-year, but I think you can still join it. It is a public group, and if you do top the poll, you will get, or the weekly winner, top the weekly score. My God, just struggling a little bit there. Top the weekly score, I will mention you on the podcast. Now, last week I scored a massive, not really, 2,043. I didn't mind too much, considering I missed out on both Bont and Dacos's 186 and 156 as vice captain and captain. Those who follow me on Twitter and Facebook would definitely have seen how vocal I am on that Richmond Geelong game. I was pretty much tracking Holmes the whole day because that was the guy I captained. Look, I did say at the start of the week I was confident that Butters would do well, considering the Blues had the Blues conceded a lot of points to inside midfielders over the month prior, and I just thought that trend would continue. Now, it was a wet day, I didn't factor in the weather, and Butters went sub 100, and obviously I didn't take his VC score, so I had to improvise and go with who I thought was the next best player. Now, the Tigers have been allowing players to score huge scores against them in their halfback and attacking midfielder roles against them, that is. So I just thought Holmes was the perfect player for that captain score. I was correct. In all fairness, I was correct. He did score a good 133, and it was alright. I mean, he had a late shot at goal. It went a little bit to the right. If it went a little bit more left, who knows? That could have been an easy 140 plus score, and it would have been a little bit better. Look, I was happy with the result. I got the pick right. A lot of people talked a lot about Geelong, either picking Tom Stewart or Holmes as a captain choice if their vice captain failed them. I didn't capitalise on Bontempelli, unfortunately, so I had to go with the next best option. Look, I still moved up 1,000 spots, so I'm now in the top 3%, I think it is. I'm not too upset with that. I've got some cash in the bank, and I'm really ready to go for this round. It is what it is. It is what it is. You know, you can't pick the best player every week. I still beat a lot of people with Bont as their captain this week in my head-to-head matchups. So I'm not upset. I'm obviously not as thrilled as I would have been if I captained Bont, but I'm not upset as well. Anyway, that's enough of that. Holmes is 133, is looking formidable. He is actually averaging exactly where I thought he was going to average when I started him. He's averaging 105 and he's Geelong's best scoring player for the season. Thus far, and the highest averaging player for the season. He's got DDP, still under 600k, and he's actually got a role change. So he's moved away from halfback and he's playing midfield. Now, the Cats are going to get a lot of midfielders over the next couple of weeks come back into the side, but that just means Holmes is just going to go back to that halfback position and probably still average over 100 anyway. So I'm okay with it. English scored 131, which was great for me. Rao, 111. Fife scored 104, so I was glad I held on to him. And Ryan, 124, and Flanders just plugging away with another 119. So I was really happy with some of those scores. I was less happy with guys like Marshall, who decided to pump out a whopping 85. And I think Martin was a little bit disappointing with his 80. Obviously, Houston and Butters both ended up sub-tunning, which was a little bit disappointing. Sarong came out of nowhere to score 102 after a really slow start to the week. But he had a really good finish and finished on 102, so I was happy with that despite Melbourne giving him some attention. Now, that's me in a nutshell. These are the guys that did well for me. I'm expecting most of those guys to do well for me again. I get back the likes of Neil, and Heaney, who were on their bye, so I'm kind of happy that I've got them. I've got Breville coming back into my team too, I suppose. But it does mean that Ryan, Houston, Butters, Fife, and Sarong are missing from my team this week, which is actually a huge chunk. But those 5 players are available again over the next 2 games after this week, and that's when the majority of us have some issues. So, as I said at the start of the year when I first started recruiting players and bringing guys in, Freo and Port Adelaide players are a must. I did want Luke Ryan and I didn't end up getting... Luke Jackson, I didn't end up getting him. Yes, that means that there is going to be a week period where I have both Marshall and English unavailable and missing. But it is what it is. Hopefully I can make up for it in my other lines. Injuries and suspensions. Now, I'm recording this prior to injuries and suspensions being released for the week, so I don't have all the news, but I do have a few updates that are available already. I just want to mention that Zach Reed, unfortunately, has done something. He's torn a pec muscle, and he could be out for a very long time. He could be out for up to 3 months. Now, I'm eagerly awaiting for his injury update if he's out for that period of time. For all those who held him and were hoping to get him available for the buys, unfortunately, we might not be able to do that. My rookies, I haven't scored a score on my bench in defense since round 2. It has been dire. I started guys like Zach Reed and Gibcus, and then traded Caulfield in after the Gibcus injury to get him out for the next 12 weeks. Before starting dead rookies like Manor and Clark, and then I brought in Rogers, and obviously I started Livingston, and then Richards I traded in just before he decided to get injured as well. So I have not been blessed with rookie selections. And I had Jordan Sweet too, which was a bit of a mixed bag of emotions over there as well. I've not been blessed with rookies this year. My rookie selections have failed me, in my opinion. I did have Graham and Cloese, who were great. Breville has been fantastic. Sullivan's been good. So I'm not too upset, but far out my bench has been unlucky this year. So Zach Reed could be out for a prolonged period of time. We'll just keep an eye at him. If he is out, I recommend maybe moving him on. Try to get one of those 102k players. I don't mind Dawson. I think his job security is out, but I think someone like Blight could be someone to really look into. By the way, speaking of Jordan Dawson, we're going to move to Jordan Dawson. Now, he is managing a foot injury, which is a reason why he scored so poorly on the weekend. He is likely to still face the Tigers, but it is something to keep an eye out on. Colby McKercher. Now, he is not on the training track as of this week. He's still in the rehab area with the other boys that are in rehab, and he's, it looks like he's probably not going to be back this week. So that's a little bit of an update on Colby McKercher as well. Matt Crouch is out for the season, unfortunately. That is really sad. He has a confirmed AC joint injury, and he's pretty much done. So guys like Rory Laird and Saligo look like decent options for the rest of the year. If that is someone that you're looking into, I'll talk about them a little bit later on. Sam Darcy has been suspended for 2 weeks, and so has Harley Reid. So both those guys are not going to be playing this week. And Redmond, he will not be playing this week as well, as he had some hamstring tightness. So good news for people that are holding on to Nick Martin. And they're the injuries and suspension news thus far. That's thus far. Obviously, there will be more stuff later on in the week when, teams are announced, but also the injury list is updated. This is just what I've got thus far this round. Now, I want to start talking about the rookies that we're bringing in. So, people that have Harley Reid, that have, Darcy still, that have guys that are starting to peak. Rogers, for example. Maybe you've got a Richards on your bench like I do, or a Reid in your actual field like I do in Caulfield, and you're thinking, all right, I need to start moving these guys on because, actually, Caulfield's back soon. When's Caulfield back? Caulfield might be back just after the buys. He could actually be back. I really just want to hold him for the year and just get a score from him. That'd be fantastic. You might get a late price rise. It'll be too late by then, but, whatever. But those sort of players, we're looking at moving them on. There's a few guys that we can look into to bring in. Now, the first one we're talking about is Will Dawson. Will Dawson, he is a defensive forward. He's 117k. He's plays for North Melbourne. And he's already been traded into the comp by almost 20,000 coaches. And I think he was brought in by, 30,000 or something last week. It was something crazy. He's in 10% teams already. He's already in 10% of teams. There is no guarantee that he's even lining up against the Eagles this week. I've been talking to a lot of North Melbourne fans. His spot in the side is shaky at best. He could seriously play a third game if he plays a third game and be dropped the next week. Sort of like a Bioga Nyon. And I don't want another one of those in my team. So he is probably the best trade-in option thus far, but I'm not sold. The other one that's highly traded in is a Lachlan McNeil. He's got a negative 29 break-even. He's projected to go up by 30k, but that is obviously if he scores a measly 38, which I think he's got a real chance of doing against the Lions, to be honest. He scored a decent 80 against Collingwood and a 41 against Melbourne 11 weeks before his second game. So he played round one, where he scored a 41, and then he didn't play for 11 weeks, and he scored an 80 against the Pies. His spot in the side is shaky at best. It is his fourth season. He played a handful of games last year. Most of them were sub-affected. Look at this. 21 points in round 6, 8 points in round 8 and 9, 22, 27, 18 after that, before a 33, 44, 57, 15, 8. Hate it. Don't pick him. Not keen. He might play a couple more games and he'll have a price rise, but he's going to be another dead rookie on your bench, and he could score an 8. He did it 3 times last year. He could genuinely just score an 8, and then he's actually losing you money. He's not making you money. So that's a no from me for Lachlan McNeil. Jack Bytel is one that I was seriously considering last week. Didn't set the world on fire. Is 125k. He's break even 6, so it's not in the negatives, which is not great. He scored a whopping 41 points last week and a 26 in round 9 2 weeks prior. A 41 and 26, that is. I don't love this pick myself. The Pies have a lot of midfield injuries. We've still got DeGoey that's out for quite some time, at least another month. And then we've also got, Pendlebury out too. But I don't love this pick. I really don't love it, unfortunately. I was considering him last week as a trade-in target for this week if he scored well. He did not. And I just don't think that he's a good option. You could get a couple of games out of him, which a couple of price rises, but I'm going to be honest, you might make 50k at best, and is that really worth it? Probably not. I would rather the Dawson pick over Bytel. I would prefer Bytel over McNeil, personally, but I don't like that pick at all. I personally think that you should be looking into those 102k mid-season recruits if they are named. Now, the Richmond pair are the ones that I've got my eyes on the most. Now, I'm just going to bring up... I think I made a post about it earlier in the week. Was there a round? Where was it? Here we go. So, unfortunately, my Keddy Lafau has had a ruptured ACL against Geelong over the weekend, which means that he's out for the rest of the year. And unfortunately, because of the time of the season it is, he's out for most of next year as well. I've really enjoyed watching him as a Richmond fan. But unfortunately, he's out for the rest of the year, which means that there is a forward spot. Now, Campbell Gray, he's $102,000. He's a forward defender in SuperCoach, which is fantastic. He's got DDP, and he could work as a really good swing with someone like Zach Fisher. Gray kicked 2 goals and had 13 disposal and 7 marks in his first VFL clash against Geelong, which is impressive, and the Tigers have been struggling a little bit up forward throughout the whole year. A forward's gone out, a forward needs to come in, and a guy in his early 20s, like Gray, could come in quite quickly. But, the other thing about Gray is he's a key position player, and Tom Lynch is probably back within the next fortnight. Or, well, Richmond have a bye in the next fortnight, so he'll probably be back after the bye. So you're only going to get 2-3 games out of this guy, most likely. I personally think there's a better option. The other option is a Blight. Now, Blight is... Where is he? Where is Blight? I made a post about him. Now, Blight was the first player the Tigers picked up earlier during the mid-season draft. Jacob Blight, there he is, 102,400 defender. Now, Blight I like a little bit more. He had 9 intercept marks on the weekend and was huge. I think he had 24 disposals as well. Now, he doesn't have DDP, which makes him a little bit... I would prefer Gray purely for the DDP, but I think that Blight is the one that comes into the team. He's older, so I think he was 23 years old or something like that. He can come in straight away as a big-bodied player. Now, the thing is, with him, is if he is selected, it means that Bolter can go forward and replace Lafau. And that's kind of what I think will happen. And it's more likely to happen. I actually think that it's better to pick a guy playing his first game like a Blight, because Richmond have a ridiculous amount of injuries this year, and I think that his job security is going to be better than a Will Dawson, because the other Dawson's going to come back for North Melbourne soon. So for me, personally, if Blight and Gray, if they're both selected, holy shit, I'm probably making 2 trades. Like, I'm genuinely going to be trading in both rookies if they are both selected this week. If one's selected, great. I think jump all over him. I really want to make the most out of my trade down options this year. And I really think Blight could, if he's named, he could play out the season, provided he doesn't get injured. Now, they're the rookies to bring in. They're the only ones that are really... I mean, Lika Lear is another one that you could consider. He's already had a price rise. He's still got a negative 55 break even, so he could go up another 50 to 60k this week. I mean, his spot in the side is the only issue. So he played round 6 and 7 when Sam Taylor missed. And then he played round 11 where he scored 104 when Jack Buckley missed. So he only gets games when a Giants player misses. And I think Buckley comes back into the team and it might push Lear out. So just be aware that if you pick Lear, you're picking him at the slightly elevated price, and also he could be out very quickly once the Giants' defensive players are available again. So keep an eye out on that. It is a bit of a risk. I myself will not be picking him because I'm trying to make the most out of the amount of cash that I have. Now, I'm probably going to be doing one trade this week, unless, as I said, some of those rookies are named. I'm not sold on Will Dawson myself, although with Zach Reed potentially injured for the rest of the year, I might be tempted to just do it, so then I've just got a defensive swing and a score on my field. I'll make that decision later on, but for now, I'm only making one trade. Now, these are the primos that I really want us to look into seriously, and I want you to look into them seriously too for this week. Dane Zorko, I don't actually think that he is a trade-in target this week. He's got a break-even of 125, and if he goes 106, look, the Dogs, he could score well against the Dogs. He really could in that position, but he also just might not. He might not, and even if he scores like 130, let's say he has a really good game and he scores 130. It's not going to change in price at all. With that high break even, I just think that you could just hold it out for a week. Obviously, if you've already got, someone like Fisher and Neil, and you don't really, there's no one screaming out like a line that you desperately need, then I don't mind bringing in Zorko this week. But it's possible that Zorko scores 110. Maybe then his break-even's even higher next week, and maybe we can get Zorko at 600 or 590k in the next week or two. So I don't mind waiting for Zorko. I'll probably be picking him up next week now. That'll be my trade-in target for next week. And again, purely because of the fact that he's got that high break-even. Now, the guy that I am bringing in this week is Fisher. I think that Fisher is the guy that, if you don't have him, this is the week to bring him in. He's got a 56 break-even. He plays against West Coast. And where's his 5-round average? Where are you? I always forget how to do this in this new system. I don't know. Anyway, he's got a higher, like his last 4 games have been 95, 140, 116, and 113. His role has, since Sheasel has been moved into midfield, he has been moved into that main distributor role, and with McKercher still not back, he's still scoring rather well. You minus that 20 score that he scored against Adelaide in round 7 when he had the sub-affected game, and you don't have really that bad of a record. Now, it's annoying because I have to bring Zach Fisher back into my team after I traded him out, and I'm also paying approximately 120k more for him as well, which is fantastic to think about. But let's be honest, he has a solid chance to being the F4, and that means I want him in my team, and I hate it. I'm just going to have to suck it up and do it. And I think that that's what I'm going to be doing for this week myself. Now, we've got a couple of Brisbane players, Dunkley and Neil. I like both of them. Personally, I think Neil is better value, who's sitting at my M2 at the moment. Neil is averaging 117 points. He's got a break-even of 83, and he's going up against the Dogs. Now, I just want to, since I brought him into my team, he has scored... When did I bring him in? He scored 71. Great. And then, I don't know, that was the week I brought him in. He scored a whopping... Was it the week I brought him in? I think it was the week I brought him in. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he scored a 71 in his first week in my side. And then he scored 168, 79, 162, and 110. Between rounds 0 and 6, he didn't go sub 100. He has been brilliant. And I've enjoyed owning him. Pretty much, except for that first week, I've enjoyed owning him every week. And I think that he should be if you're looking for a midfielder and you've got the cash to splash, it is Lachie Neale this week. Josh Dunkley, I don't mind as well, but hasn't had the season that Neale has had. He's got a break-even of 133, so he's probably going to drop cash. And he's averaging significantly less. He's actually averaging 112. So he's averaging 5 points. Oh, on your watch list. He's averaging 5 points less than Neil. Hasn't had the amazing ceiling. He had that massive 163 against Gold Coast, but has been up and down since then. 89, 115, 99. It hasn't been great. I mean, you're probably safe either way. If you can't afford Neil, then you could go Dunkley, but honestly, try to find the 13k and just go Neil. Personally, myself, that's what I'd be doing. Tom Green is the steal of the round. Let's take a look. He's 490k. He's actually got a break even of 110. You could probably wait a week, which sounds strange, because he plays against the Hawks, and they could show him some attention. He's never turned up against the Hawks, scoring a 97, a 97, and a 73 in his last 3 outings. So I personally don't mind waiting a week on Tom Green. And I mentioned this at the start of the year, I didn't start Green because his first 3 scores were overinflated. And then since that point, he's only really had a 159 against Brisbane in round 7. That has been impressive. Everything after that point has been a bit meh. I still think that Tom Green can be a really good player, and it is his disposal efficiency that's letting him down. If you're looking for a midfielder and you don't have a lot of cash, I don't mind Tom Green, but he'd be a MA. That's at best. Like, for me right now, I kind of regret picking Oliver. Yeah, he's going to lose me money. But look, he's got a decent draw coming up. I really, since owning Oliver, he's gone 87, 124, 92, and 73. It's been pretty gross. Yeah, I'm not a fan. But you know what? I still think he could come good, and I can't have another one of those guys in my team. Warner and Goulden. Now, these are another 2 that a lot of people are talking about. Now, Chad Warner was, let's see, he's got a break even of 35, so he's going to make it 50k off the bat. Easily 50k. He's in only 4.5% of teams. That has trickled up slowly, but his last 5 games have been fucked. 135 against the Hawks, 100 against the Giants, 99 against Freo, 172 against the Blues, and 144 against the Dogs. And he's put his contract negotiation on hold, which means that he needs to perform well for the rest of the year in order to maximize his returns. So, I love it. I personally love that pick. If you can get a Chad Warner and your other lines look great and you're thinking, yep, I need another midfielder, I think that Warner is a great option, though I think Neil is the safer option. I think Neil is definitely the better option when it comes to his security. Neil is someone that has done this repeatedly over the course of his career, while Warner has... I mean, last year, I think he averaged 100 Warner, but... Where is he? Last year, he averaged 100. I really wanted to start him last year, and I just didn't do it. He averaged 100.3 on the dot last year, and that was his best ever season, I think. Yeah, it was. I mean, this is definitely the breakout year. He's averaging 113.2. Does that continue? It might. It might really continue, but he's had a few poor games. A 73 against the Tigers, 81 against the Giants, against the Suns. His record, I mean, he's going to do probably really well against Geelong, but his record after that is kind of tough. So I don't mind it. I really don't. I myself am not looking for a 608k midfielder, so I'm probably not going to do it. Though, I'm going to be honest, I kind of wish I didn't have Petrarca and Oliver as my M7 and M8. I would very much prefer someone like Warner who's dominating, but it is what it is. I'm just going to have to accept that I have picked up a couple of spuds along the way. Anyway, they're the primos that I'm really looking into. I don't like anyone else, to be honest. Ridley is an interesting one. But his buy is coming up. He's got a break even of 33. His 530k. He's had 162 and 111 in his last 2 games. Especially with Redmond out, I do like this. I think that he could score well for the remainder of the year. If you're looking for a defender, this is probably the way to go. yeah, really, this is probably the way to go. I've heard of people moving Dacos into the midfield, and then so what I've seen a couple of people do it is they've traded out Oliver, right? So they've traded out Oliver, and then they've brought in Ridley, and then they've moved Dacos into the midfield in Oliver's position, and I don't hate that. I really don't hate that at all. If you could do it, you know what? I'm all for it if that's what you can do. I don't mind picking up a guy like Chad Warner off his bye. I don't think Oliver is going to be that player this year. I think that everyone that's gone on him has gone a little bit early. We celebrated a little bit too much with his 141 against Geelong, and he hasn't looked like replicating that at all since. He beat up West Coast, but that's West Coast. It's not great. Look, he plays North in a couple of weeks, but he's got a bye next week. Oliver as well. So it's a tough one for me. It's a real tough one for me. He could be a quick trade out next week. I think I'm going to hold him for one more week just to see what he does. Just to see what he does personally. I just want to see, that one more week, and if he doesn't do what I brought him in to do, then I might just have to flick him off as a failure. And that's a lot of cash, because he's going to dump what? He could dump 20k. He actually, he could dump 20k, and then he's back to basically to where I picked him up in, and that's real disappointing. That is real disappointing. So hopefully Oliver can do something. For me, I'm probably going to hold him because I've got other dire issues in my forward line, especially in my team. I want to get rid of Marshall. Oh my god, his break even's 191. Oh my god, I hate Marshall so much. I traded him in to give me a point of difference during the buys when guys that owned Grundy and Gawn had Ruckman missing, and he decided to pump out these shitty 51 and 63s, and then he dominates after that, and I bring him back in, and he scores a 73 and an 85. And now his break even is 191. I hate my ruck line. I've spent so many trades in my ruck line this year, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Rookies and ruckman I have not been blessed with this season. My trades for the week, I'm probably going to bring in Zach Fisher. I think that I would rather pay under 500k for him opposed to over 500k for him. So I'm probably going to bring him back in. It's probably the spot that I'm going to have a 0 anyway, as I doubt Mana plays. I'm holding on to Nat 5 as he's going to actually cover me next week and the week after when a lot of my other primos are missing. He just came off a really good score, and he's reset his break even, so he's got a 45 break even. And he's probably going to do that against... Who's he playing? Against the Dogs. And the Dogs are the team that he scored 119 against in only round 7. So if he does that again, that'd be great. He's actually got a good run home too. He's got Gold Coast, which are actually okay as a midfield matchup. Sydney are tough, but then Richmond Hawthorn after that. Melbourne are tough, and West Coast Essendon and Geelong. I could seriously see myself holding him for the rest of the year. I don't want to. I definitely don't want to, but I could. I could just hold on to him as that F7, M8 position, M9 position. Because he does have a couple of opponents that he could go big against, and then I could sort of loop him into the team as well as acting as a bench cover. So I might just really just hold on to Fife for the year on my bench. That would be ideal. That would definitely be ideal, which means that I'm going to try to make cash in other lines in order to then assist with the rest of my trade-ins for the year. So Zach Fisher for me, and if Blight is named, I probably will be bringing in Blight as well. I don't know for whom just yet. It might be a Zach Reed, depending on how long he's out for. And whenever I bank the 21k, and it is what it is, and at least I get a score on field, and maybe he scores well and ends up in my best 18. Now, I want to go through VC and C options. Now, this is what we are going to... these are the things... These are the players that you're going to want to select in order to get ahead of your one-on-one matchups. Now, I'm just going to go to fixture, just here. Then Thursday night, we have Adelaide taking on the Tigers at Adelaide Oval. Now, usually I would say Dawson is a great VC option, but he is injured and he did come off a pretty bad score. I would not be putting the VC on Dawson with that ankle injury. I do like Saligo and I do like Laird in this game. The Tigers have been conceding huge amounts to inside midfielders, and with Matt Crouch out and Rankin out and Dawson potentially injured, playing slightly under the weather, it means guys like Laird and Saligo should play quite well. So if you've got Laird and you've got Saligo, I really don't mind this. But my vice captain is coming on the Friday night, and I am most likely picking the guy that I didn't VC last round, and that is Marcus Bontempelli. Though his record against the Lions isn't great, an 89 last year, 108 the year before that, and 116 the year before that. But I did say that he had an average record against the Pies last week as well, and look where that got me. The other guy that I really do like is Lachie Neale. Though his record being slightly better than Bontempelli's is 117, 135 and 85, but I don't like picking players after their bye. Sometimes they come back and they're a little bit rusty, so I'm not going to be picking Lachie Neale myself, although I don't mind him if you do have him. I think Bontempelli is the VC option of the round, and that is on the Friday night. So you get your vice-captain playing early, and hopefully he replicates what he did last week for me. That'd be fantastic. Thank you. But knowing my luck, he's probably going to score an 86 instead of 186. Saturday, 1:45. Hawthorn take on the Giants, and I personally don't like anybody from this game. I'd be avoiding this game at all costs. Green is not reliable as a VC option this year, and also he doesn't have a great record against the Hawks, and the Hawks like to tag. So I don't think that Tom Green is an option. North Melbourne take on the Eagles. I don't really like anyone from this game either. I mean, if you've got LDU, you could probably put a sneaky VC on LDU if you like, but I wouldn't be picking LDU over Bontempelli. So, yeah, I don't like anyone from this game. I just want to see what LDU's record against West Coast is. 127, 143, and 27. Obviously, the 27 is an injury-affected game. So 143 and 127 are his last two. So I don't mind that. His last four games have actually been pretty good. 112, 90, 109, 152, and 117. So the more I talk about this, the more I like it. So if you don't have Bontempelli, you could do an LDU, but if you don't have Bontempelli and you have LDU, I think you have other issues with your team. St Kilda take on the Suns on the Saturday night, and don't mind Matt Rowell. If you've got Matt Rowell, I don't mind Matt Rowell as a good VC option, but if Witts is not playing, I really kind of like Rowan Marshall in this game, because Moyle was not good. He did go up by 72k though, but he was not good. What did he score? He scored a 77. It was okay. It wasn't terrible. I personally couldn't do the Ned Moyle selection. I know that Witts was out for last week, and he could be back this week, or he might not be. He might be out another week, and then I think there's a bye and blah, blah, blah. After the Jordan Sweet fiasco, I could not do the same thing in the same week as Sweet topped out. So for me, I didn't go for Ned Moyle. I'm okay with just accepting that I'm not going to make that 100k. I will make it elsewhere. I prefer a player scoring on my field anyway, because he would have been my R3. I decided not to do it, and yeah. So for me, again, I don't mind Rowan Marshall in that game if Moyle is the number 1 ruck. Sunday, we've only got 2 games on Sunday. It is a very long round, Thursday to Monday. I hate these games that go Thursday to Monday. They are so long. And obviously when teams are announced for the Thursday, you don't know what's happening on the Monday. So that's another reason why I wouldn't be selecting Bytel as a rookie, because you don't even know if he's going to play or be the sub until it's way too late. So maybe go back to what I was saying before. Don't pick Bytel at all. So Sunday we've got the Swans take on the Cats. I don't like anyone from Geelong. This is a really tough matchup in the Swans. Isaac Heaney could go big. The Cats have been leaking big points to inside midfielders. Chad Warner is another one that I really do like. He could go big as well. But my captain is coming later in the round. Essendon take on the Blues. I don't know what Zach Merritt's record against the Blues is. Let's see. His last 3 have been 105, 90, and 107. They have not been spectacular. And then you've got... Who else do you have? You've got Cripps, who I don't mind. Not Crisp. Oh my god, I just clicked on Crisp. Cripps, Patrick Cripps, has had a really good season. Yeah, he's averaging 108. A lot of people did not select him. His last few games have been really good. He scored a 58 against Essendon last year, 126 the year before that, and 65 the year before that. So I would be picking Patrick Cripps. Has Walsh's record against... Walsh's record against Essendon isn't great either. A 93, 75, and 130. So... yeah, I don't really like anyone from that game. I wouldn't be picking anyone. I think my captain's coming the next week, and the next game, which is technically next week, I suppose, on the Monday. If everything fails, it will be Nick Dacos. Nick Dacos has had a great season thus far. He's averaging, what is he averaging? 114 for the year, which is, no, is it 114? Is it? What is that? No, he's averaging 123.6. Holy shit. And that includes that 54 that he scored against, funnily enough, St Kilda in round 3. I just want to read out. So since round 2, when he scored a 54 against St Kilda, he has gone 112, 102, 133, 128, 150, 147, 105. And by the way, that 105, he looked like he was going to tear that game apart. He just slowed down in that second half. 130 and then 156. They have been his last, what is that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 scores, which is insane. I also want to point out that his last 3 games against Melbourne have been 118 in 2023 and 129 and 112 in his 2 debut seasons. In his debut season. That's fucked. So I personally think that Nick Dacos is going to tear the MCG apart on the Monday. So if Bontempelli, for whatever reason, does not produce a huge score, I will be selecting Nick Dacos as my captain a couple of days later on. Now, before I do wrap up... Oh my god, questions. Questions, guys. You guys would have... I was about to wrap up. And I've got Facebook and Twitter questions. Oh my god, I totally forgot. I'm so sorry, guys. For those who thought I was wrapping up, let's take a look. So let's go with... Man, I post a lot of crap. Let's see. Alright, let's go to Twitter first. Now we've got Cody Kigo. Who are the best upgrade options this week? Will likely trade Wilson and Cloese. We've already gone through that. I think that the best trading options are... Fisher, Warner, Neal, I think they're the top 3. Green for value, but I don't personally like it and I won't be doing that. Abdul, top targets from round 12 buys. Literally just mentioned that as well, so that's that. Who's got the best run home? Who will average the best on the run home? Sneaky POD selections everyone's overlooking. How many trades left is ideal once full primo? And deep dive on best spare trade options. Honestly, I'm aiming to have 5. I would love to have 5 or 6 trades left by the end of my upgrades. Just for injuries as the season progresses. And then maybe some luxury trades right at the end of the year during my matchup final series. I think that the sneaky POD is a Chad Warner. I think that his run home is good. He's playing for a good team and he's scoring great. The best run home is tough. I think LDU actually has a really good, safe run home. So that's someone you could consider. Speaking of that, Freo Tragic, that's the next question, has asked me, LDU or Goulden? Is Cherry a legit R2 option over Grundy? No, I think Grundy is the better option, personally, myself. But again, if you've got other upgrade options, maybe just hold on to Cherry until you have that luxury trade available. LDU or Goulden, personally, look, LDU for me. Goulden doesn't seem to have the same ceiling as he did last year. I don't know why. He just hasn't really had the impact that he has had in the past. So for me, I think for the run home, it should be LDU. Now, moving on to Facebook. Sorry, I got to clear my throat. Sorry. Oh, man, I've been crapping on way too long. Moving on to Facebook, we've got a Jared Corey. What to do with Tom Stewart? A little emoji where you're kind of covering your eyes. That's what you should be doing with Tom Stewart. I wouldn't be trading him out. I don't see any point. I think it's a luxury trade to trade him out. He should still average around about 100. He should be okay. Maybe reassess at his bye, but I don't know. I don't think he's a massive... I think finish your team before you trade guys out like that. You could jump onto Ridley if you like, but he's about to play a bye too, so... Unfortunately, I think you just hold him until one of your last trade outs, if you've got the ability to do it. Rian Burke. It must be... Is it a must to trade out both Sam Darcy and Harley Reid? Yes, I think so. I think Darcy definitely. Reid, you could probably hold if you honestly think that he could be your F6, potentially, or even a floating F7. I would very much prefer a Harley Reid as F7 opposed to Nat 5, which sounds really strange that I prefer a rookie that's played about 10 AFL games over a dual Brownlow medalist. But I do. So yeah, if you're thinking about having an F7 that you can loop onto your field or an M8 that you can loop onto your field when he scores big, I don't mind a Harley Reid, but just remember that he mostly plays on a Sunday, so you won't be able to loop his score in, actually. So I just trade him out. Trade him out, bank the cash, finish your team. Lewis Grigg. I think I thought about it too much. Is it worth moving Wilson to Fisher or hold Wilson? Go to Wilson to Fisher. Straight away. Yes. Do that. 100%. Do it. I don't think Wilson is a top 6 forward. I don't think that he should be your F7 either. So personally, yes, I think Fisher is definitely the guy that you should be targeting this year. Cal Lurch, who has been an avid listener for the season. Need to fill R2. Is it dumb to bring in English before his bye? I feel he's the only realistic option as I've got gone. Don't really like Grundy or Marshall. Don't pick Marshall. You'll tear your hair out. Honestly, Marshall is the most frustrating player that I have owned this year, and I've owned him twice. So don't pick Marshall. Good work. I think English is the best R2 option. Yes, it is just before his bye, so maybe you could hold out on English. What did he score? Why did I select? His break-even's 94. He could do well against the Lions because he's got 139, 138, 124. He might go up a little bit of money. He should still be sub 600k next week. I would look at the rest of your team and see who else is needed. Personally, I don't like bringing a player in before his bye, but it depends. What is more valuable to you? That 20k that you save, 20, 30k that you save, potentially, not even, it'd be probably 20k maximum that you save, bringing him in after you buy, or having a few more points scored next week. I think bring in English after his bye. I think that's when you do it. If you wanted English, you probably should have done it a little bit earlier, a few weeks ago. I think when he really bottomed out. So I think maybe English after his bye. Will I regret this? Leaving me very thin on the bench. This is Julian Russo, another fan that has been listening in a lot. Let's take a look. He's bringing in Ridley, Bontempelli, Will Dawson, and he's trading out Tom Stewart, Tom Berry, and Darcy Wilson. Now, I know that I said just hold on to Stewart, just leave him, but honestly, I really like this trade. I really do. Yeah, I think you should do it. I think you should do it. Fuck it. Just pull the pin, do it, get those scores on field. I think you'll be very happy with that result. I don't think that you're going to be getting much better out of that. So that's it. Thank you for listening, guys. Make sure to subscribe, like us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, for all the captain videos too, because I go a little bit more in depth in captains later on in the week. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back same time, same place next week. Bye, guys.